Tyson Jones. It was planned. It happened. It happened. Right? What'd you think, Mike? What'd you think happened?
I think the California State Athletic Commission should take a bow because they labeled it an exhibition, so did the WBC, and that's exactly what it was. Exhibition of two guys almost 60 years old. You know, there used to be a fighter around New York back in the 40s. It happened to be a Jewish fellow named Izzy Grove, Grove. And he used to say to me, he was a punched out ex-fighter, broke, used to hang around Madison Square Garden. He fought in every venue in New York when he was a fighter. And he used to say, people would say, you had a great career. And he would say, yesterday's cheers have a short echo. I think that's the feeling. Roy Jones and Tyson didn't get any cheers in the arena because there were no people in the arena. But I think it was harmless. It had its charms. The highlight, the internet has erupted over Snoop Dogg. And it's pee your pants funny. Two uncles fighting in the backyard.
I couldn't quite hear all the commentary that Snoop was made, but I heard, yeah, some people were saying that he did a good job on the commentary. It
was funny.
Yeah, I mean, you know who I liked? I liked the guy from the MMA, the Israel Adesanya. I liked his commentary. I thought he did a good job. To be honest, like that, I was like more into the like his commentary, but again, it's I didn't ended up watching it somewhere. As we said, I didn't think it warranted the $50, but one thing that
I didn't pay either, but let me ask you, what do you think is next? Because I know what is next.
My opinion, Tyson Holyfield 3. I don't think that there's any question about it.
In post-fight remarks, Tyson mentioned that Holyfield's advisors asked for too much money, so that's the fight they both want.
But you know how it is. You know, they say,
put Shannon Briggs and Francois both as a co-feature.
Listen, I'm more excited about Shannon and Francois. I mean, I think that when Francois, mentioned Shannon's wife, to be honest with you, that harkened back to Mr. T. You remember when Mr. T in Rocky 3, like Rocky was about to retire, and Mr. T's like, hey, woman, and that's what riled Rocky up. So I think Shannon, once he thinks about it, he's like, what's this guy talking about my wife for, And then Francois, I mean, listen, he says the draw creates controversy. Come on, he feels like he won that fight. That's my personal opinion. These guys are nice to each other, but that's my opinion. I think
Shannon took offense. Shannon got pissed.
That's what I'm thinking, Mike. I mean, listen, it could be nice.
He was smiling, but underneath he was growling.
Well,
look, boxing wasn't hurt. We won't even talk about Jake Paul. That's a sideshow in itself. But I don't think any harm was done to boxing. Meanwhile, there was a real heavyweight fight in England, and I want to congratulate Joyce. Big upset over Daniel Dubois. I kept hearing from people in England Daniel Dubois was going to be the next great heavyweight. He was going to make people forget Joshua, forget Fury, etc. He was supposed to be a tremendous puncher. Now they're saying he quit.
Well, listen, with regard to that, because I was looking at that, first of all, when I saw the picture, my first thought was, I made this comment, I was like, headbutt, because I was reminded of that fight with Maloney, so I was like, I was telling people, well, yeah, his eye, look, is all swelled up. Must have been a headbutt, right? It wasn't a bunch of jabs. It wasn't a bunch of punches to the face,
Listen, when David Hay, who I have very little respect for, by the way, he ducked Shannon Briggs across 4 continents. He ran out of the arena when Shannon Briggs chased him. David Hay called Dubois a quitter.
I mean, with regard to that quitting stuff, I go back to, and this is like, you go back to Vitaly Klitschko when he quit against Chris Bird. Everybody called him a quitter because he resigned with a rotator cuff injury. All that changed in a heartbeat when, Lennox Lewis, when he was fighting Lewis, and, they stopped it because of the cut and Klitschko wanted to go on, and all of a sudden he's got heart. So I think, like people they're quick to rush and call somebody a quitter. Like if he has one good fight where he shows hard, it'll change in an instant.
Dubois will be back. He'll be back, but for Joyce, it was a tremendous victory.
No, I mean absolutely. I heard that was the weekend, like the real heavyweight fight. The Tyson. I mean, listen, Tyson Jones. It was an exhibition. With regard to that, I just wanted to tell you. I mean, I really think that in looking at it, Jones really used the exhibition rules well, because like he was clinching all over the place. What was the ref going to do? Like disqualify?
It was as if I don't think they had it planned out to be a draw, but the two fighters knew what time it was.
I thought, I mean, I don't know. What did you think? Did you think it was a draw?
I'd say 4 rounds to 4 rounds.
I had Tyson winning. I had Tyson winning, to be honest with you. Even though I thought Jones was gonna do really well, as I told you, I thought Jones, but I had Tyson winning that one.
Tyson was in better condition, I'll say that.
Oh yeah, I noticed that. Like for whatever this was, he was not as winded as Jones, and I was impressed with some of the combinations. I'm not gonna say that he's like the peak Tyson, but there were some moments in there. He's showing him some speed. For what it was, it could also be that Jones, like I said, Jones was a smaller guy. So when we're talking about like Tyson and Briggs and a lot of these things, it's going to be harder for Tyson to look as good against somebody that's like much bigger, But against Jones, it's like you could do it. That was my take.
Yeah, California Commission breathing a sigh of relief. Nobody got hurt.
Oh yeah. So yeah, like I said, I mean, I think Tyson Holyfield 3 is going to happen. I don't foresee a situation where they're going to.
You're right. It'll happen. It's inevitable.
Yeah. Past that, I don't. Like I said, I'd love to see, both the Briggs, and the winner of that, sure, against Tyson, absolutely.
Tyson mentioned that he might want to go to Europe, to the south of France or Monte Carlo or somewhere like that. They can take the circuits around the world.
Yeah. You can have. Didn't Tyson already had like an exhibition like that with? I was trying to get in touch with that guy Coriel Sanders. Like 10 years ago or whenever it was, and that's what they were doing. Tyson and Sanders were walking. And they do it in a few places where they had the exhibition. I know. All right.
The amazing thing is that this show came off without any post-fight controversy, because you can't really argue with a draw. Either way, it was close. If I had to pick, if I was told I couldn't score a draw, I would have given it to Tyson as well.
Yeah. I mean,
he gave a little more effort. He was in a little better condition. And listen, it doesn't hurt the sport. It doesn't really help it, but I wonder how many of the young fans that watch this will come back to see, who's going to be there next Saturday night for Danny Garcia and Errol Spence. Not too many of the people that watch this show.
Yeah, that's one of the killers for me, was that, like, the co-features it's like some YouTube guy. It should really be like real, like, pros, and they have a chance for like exposure.
I agree with you. I don't know why they do that, because when you have Mike Tyson in his first fight in 20-some years, you don't need any carnival on the undercard.
Yeah, and again, maybe like some were saying it's cheaper or whatever. I don't know, but I felt like it would have been cooler if you had like a 5-0 pro or whatever, somebody who's like a real professional.
If I'm not mistaken, they paid to the basketball player Nate Robinson. He got paid like $600.
Is that real? Like, are they serious? $600?
I think he did it for exposure and maybe get some sponsors. Why not? Paul's the one that brought the viewers.
All right.
I mean, if you looked at Nate Robinson's Twitter, you're going to see how many followers. You look at Jake Paul, he's probably got, I remember his brother had 27 million at one time, and he's not far behind his brother.
Well, I mean, those guys are probably making money somewhere else. They're not making money.
You hit a great idea. Logan Paul against Jake Paul. That'll be the ultimate circus. Those two brothers.
In my day, when people asked me, in my day, so I'm not, 1,000, but still, when people asked me like 10 years ago, what's the biggest fight in boxing? I told you who it was. It was Klitschko versus Klitschko. If that fight would have happened, that would have been a showdown. I would have called it a showdown of biblical proportions, So the Paul brothers have a chance to like live up to that,
I used to bug both Klitschko's about why they wouldn't fight, write about it. And one of them came up with the idea that they promised their mother that they wouldn't fight each other. So when the mother made a ruling, that was it. Still would like to. Who would have won the fight?
No, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this much. Oh, who would have won the fight? Klitschko versus Klitschko?
Yeah.
Got to give it to Vitaly. I mean, I think, you see, and that's the thing. People were labeling him a quitter. I think he was ultimately the much tougher fighter. I think he would have weathered anything Vladimir would have given, would have lost a few rounds, but
Vladimir could have outboxed him, though.
Again,
with Emmanuel Stewart in his corner, I'd go with Vladimir.
Okay. Again, I would have loved the fight. I'd go with, but okay. That would
12 rounds, you'd be wondering when Vitaly's going to knock him out. But if it goes to a decision, I think we'll never know. So it's just a fantasy.
Yeah. Well, I was going to tell you, my mom made the same ruling about me and my brother. Although we never got paid when we fought each other. That's the difference.
Did you used to whip his ass?
You know what? No. He outweighed me by 80 pounds. What was I going to?
Older or younger?
He's older. I had the age experience. I had the age on my side, but
Koza versus Koza. Where's your brother now?
In Florida, selling cars. He boxed, actually. He boxed amateur for a little bit. But
you know why I told you why I had to quit boxing?
Go ahead.
Hand injuries. The referees kept stepping on my hands.
You can't do that while I'm drinking coffee. You can't do that when I'm drinking coffee.
I'm just worried about upsetting your cat.
No, he's sleeping. He's fine. All right. There you have it. Tyson and Jones.